We were treated unfairly, to some extent, like guinea pigs. The damage done by the Tuskegee study is much deeper than the wounds any of us may have suffered. It speaks to our faith in government and the ability of medical science to serve as a force for good.
It's understandable the mistrust that many black people have because of what happened in Tuskegee. The tragic syphilis study, I heard about it just like the rest of the nation did in the summer of 1972 when I was running for mayor of Tuskegee. I made a statement and I took this as my platform. Elect me mayor of Tuskegee, Alabama, and never again will we allow the federal government, the state government, or any other governmental body to come into Tuskegee, Alabama, and take advantage of our people. That was my platform, and I meant it. What was so mean and cruel about this study is the fact that the federal government discovered that penicillin would indeed cure syphilis. Yet the federal government would not administer the penicillin to a group of 600 black men because they wanted the men to stay untreated in the study until they died so they could complete the autopsy. Now, how cold your government doing something like that? But there is no reason in 2021 for any American to say that I'm not going to take the vaccine because of what happened in Tuskegee. In this day and time, black scientists, black doctors are involved in the development of the vaccine. They are involved in helping to shape the public policy, which makes it possible for this vaccination program to be administered to the American people. That's why I wanted everyone to see me taking the shot. I wanted my friends who doubted to see that I was not afraid to take the shot. Miss Diane Robinson may have had some reservations, but she made the decision to take it. Miss Johnny Harrison, a young lady who's 84 years young, retired teacher, had some reservations, but she took it. Virginia Peterson, a descendant of Lewis Adams, the man who brought Booker T. Washington here to Tuskegee. Orrin Gorin, who's originally from Trinidad but lives here in Tuskegee, Alabama, grew up in New York. Not only did he decide, but some of his buddies, he's tried to convince them to take it. The struggle goes on.
But earmuff, you stay on hard.
Welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. Joining us today is head football coach of a program you may or may not have heard of, Bluefield State College in Bluefield, West Virginia. First of all, for everybody, yes, that's an HBCU. Otherwise, I would not be covering them. That's number one. Number two, they have started football and they're bringing it back right here in fall of 2021. The Bluefield State is the second program in as many years to reignite football, with Florida Memorial in Miami Gardens, Florida, bringing football back last year. But enough about those other schools. We're here to talk about Big Blue, Bluefield State. And joining us today from Bluefield State is head football coach Tony Coaxum. Coach Coaxum, how are you doing today?
I'm blessed, brother. I'm all well. I'm excited about what we have going on here and excited to talk to you. And I appreciate you having us on.
All right, Coach. Football. Obviously, football, especially for us HBCU alum, is king. Outside of my degree, you know, going to the football games was the highlight of, well, not the highlight, but one of the highlights of my tenure on the campuses that I've attended. So, Coach, how do you bring a football program back in the midst of a pandemic, Coach? Please give me some insight.
Well, like I said, it's a lot of good graces and timing of everything. Obviously, the pandemic has been a tragic thing across the world, but you know, there's good coming out of it in our sense of just how this whole thing played about. You know, we all know how it affected schools across the country with you know, fans not being in attendance in games and cancellation games, and that's a lot of lost revenue for a lot of programs across the country. So, you know, when these programs were getting this money from the state's funding, the CARES Act, and all the different things to kind of fill those holes that were missed due to the missing out on the live games and things like that. Well, Bluefield State didn't have all those programs. Only about 10 programs here prior to that. Now, President Capehart, who has been on board, I guess, about 3.5, 4 years now, he always wanted to bring other sports back and sort of opportunity. Hey, we're getting this influx of cash in order to try to fix holes that we necessarily didn't have in that realm because we didn't have those sports. So we kind of turned it and invested it in towards, you know, bringing football and 11 other sports back. So it just real smart thinking on his part to invest it and put into something that we want to get going. And instead of it being a 3-year plan to, you know, to hire a head coach and then bring in staff and then eventually players, got it all set. And, you know, I got hired on October 9th. I was able to hire staff pretty quickly. And then we started recruiting. And, you know, now 8-9 months later, we have about 80 players here on campus. We designed our new uniforms, working on facilities like our weight rooms and locker rooms, things like that. A whole new branding with our new logo. You know, it's right here, our beautiful new logo that we're so proud of in the branding. And we're going to play our first game September 4th. So 10 months from the time I was hired, we brought football back from a program that hadn't had football in 41 years.
Now that logo is a Great Dane, if I remember that correctly, but your official nickname is Big Blue. For those
Absolutely.
out there, not gonna quite get into the whys and the hows right now. Google it; it's out there. The story behind it is kind of out there. They've, from what I know, Bluefield State has changed their logo and their nickname a couple of times, but that Great Dane has always kind of been a part of the logo throughout the tenure, and now they're officially Big Blue. I think they used to be Blue Devils at one point in time, and maybe another nickname, but they are the Big Blue, and they go by that nickname moniker very well. So, Coach, want to get into your background, into your decision. Tell everybody a little bit about your background, your coaching background, and then why did you take a chance and come to Bluefield State to be the first head football coach since 1980?
Well, I'm originally from Charleston, South Carolina, born and raised. Love being from Charleston. I'm a West Point grad. Graduated from there in 2000. Played Army football, which is near and dear to my heart. And after I graduated from West Point, I was commissioned as second lieutenant in the Army and started working at Fort Bragg. That was my first assignment, and had some medical things, back issues and back injuries that forced me out a little bit earlier than I wanted to. So moved to the civilian world and started coaching high school ball down in Georgia. And that's when I really caught the coaching bug. Had a full-time job. I coached at high school in my free time. And when I realized my worst day coaching was better than my best day on any job I ever had, that's when I decided I wanted to pursue it professionally as a career. Was able to get a chance to go back to West Point, coached there for 7 years, which was a great honor for me to go coach at my alma mater. From there, landed in the NFL with the Baltimore Ravens for a year. Learned under some great men there, coaches, and being around the great players in a great organization. From there, that's where I met Gary Kubiak, who was offensive coordinator at the time. We had a pretty good season. He was accepted a head coaching job with the Denver Broncos, and he brought me out there with him to coach special teams. Prior to that, I've always been a defensive coach. I played defense in college as well, but I learned my special teams in Baltimore, and he brought me out there to be assistant special teams coordinator and under Joe DeCamillis out in Denver. And we won a Super Bowl our first year in Denver, which was a great experience, something I'll always cherish and be proud of. From there, spent 2 years in Denver, got back into college ball, coaching at Central Michigan for a couple of years. Then from there, went to the University of Kansas in an analyst role. Then I got hired in Northern Colorado. I never got to coach a game because of COVID. And then that's when I started seeing the news about, Bluefield State wanted to bring football back, and doing my kind of research and learning about it being an HBCU in West Virginia, which shocked me outside of West Virginia State. And then just the demographics of it at the time of not being a lot of minorities there, and just intrigued me. And to answer the question of why I took that challenge, or took this challenge, I've been taking challenges my whole life. You don't go to West Point and make it through there without wanting to be challenged. I've always believed in my ability to be a head coach, and this is an opportunity after talking to President Capehart and Athletic Director Price. We had a lot of the same things in common, how we wanted to do things and our mindset and the underdog type of mentality. And they believed in me, and I believed I was the right individual for this job to build it from the ground up. And what better way to put an imprint on a program than to build it from the get-go? You know what I mean? And everything about it is from your mindset and your staff's mindset, and it's like just empty clay. And a lot of people would take that as I don't know if I want to take that as my first job, but I didn't look at it that way. I thought it was the perfect opportunity for me to build a program exactly how I think programs should be built, and bringing the right type of coaches and players to do the things that we exactly can do. And again, do something that a lot of people won't be able to say that, hey, we were there from the get-go and build it from the ground up. And like I said, 10 months in, we're very excited about the direction we're going, and can't wait to get going in September.
All right, Coach. Correct me if I'm wrong. You said you won a Super Bowl in Denver. That would be the Peyton Manning Super Bowl with Denver, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, my co-host Brian Fulford would be very happy to know that his boy Peyton Manning got another Super Bowl. He's Brian's an Indianapolis native and a big time Peyton Manning fan. So
yeah, T-Money, man. That's the great deal. I'm so happy. He's going to the Hall of Fame, deserving. Talk about a great professional and just a great dude all the way around. Enjoyed my year there being with him and the rest of those guys.
All right. Now, Coach, you decided to make the league, but you had to put a staff together.
Mm-hmm.
How hard or how easy was it for you to convince the people who you've hired on your staff to come along and join you? And if someone turned it down, did they ever give you a reason why they may have turned down this opportunity? You don't have to break it down right now. Mm-hmm. All you just have to do is build it up. Where a lot of times I've spent my fair share of years coaching on the collegiate and high school level. Sometimes you get some jobs, you have to break it all the way down before you can build it back up. So why did these guys come versus why maybe a couple other guys may have said, no, not the opportunity's not right for me?
Yeah, there were a couple of the guys that it wasn't all first time yeses across the board. There are some guys that I wanted to bring on who mainly was for just family reasons. They may have just taken a job, just bought a home, just moved their families in with them, and it just wasn't the right time because of the family dynamic of just making a move or something like that. But they were all excited about the opportunity of, hey, being a part of building a program from the ground up. And I respect those men for that, because you have to consider that thing. So the no's were mostly pretty much all of them because of that. It was family dynamic and still kind of in the COVID, the pandemic deal. So it was just not sure if they could make it work family wise, moving and all of that. But the men that are here, it wasn't as difficult when it comes to that sense, because I didn't really necessarily where I thought about building the staff, it wasn't focused on, the X's and O's. All my coaches that are on the staff are great teachers and great coaches. And that's what you expect, or you wouldn't talk to them and bring them onto your staff. But what I focused on is their leadership ability, their ability to mentor, their ability to groom and care and basically love. They got to have a desire to love young men. And genuinely care about them and have that family type environment, because that's what we're all about. Again, I come from West Point and from the Army football world, and our brotherhood, there's nothing like it. And I'll say that it's one of the strongest things. I mean, again, I'm a Kappa man as well, and that's a great bond. But when it comes to football, my Army football brotherhood is something that I hold very near and dear, and I'm trying to build that type of brotherhood here. And it comes from a genuine place of love. So that's what I focused on. So when I reached out to these gentlemen, that's what we talked about. How do they go about developing and leading and mentoring young men? And once I got comfortable with that, I hired my offensive coordinator, my defensive coordinator. And again, I'm not a micromanager. I let those guys hire their staff. I recommended a couple guys here and there, and in some cases they took them. The guys that I recommended, but it was okay. You go hire the guys on your staff, and I'm very excited and proud of the men we put together, because without this staff, we wouldn't have been able to do what we have to. There's a bunch of guys that are self-starters. I have about 3 or 4 guys that are in their 20s that are dynamic coaches and leaders at such young ages, and are going to be great coordinators and head coaches one day, and because we all believe in the same thing. And one thing you said about convincing, it wasn't about convincing. And it's the same thing with the players. I don't try to convince our players to come here. I didn't convince any of these players to come here. I gave them what we were about, what we were trying to do, and let them make a decision. And my ultimate thing was, here's what we are. Here's what we're about. Here's the things we're going to bestow on you. And if you want to come be a part of it, great. If you don't, that's fine too. I want you to, my bottom line is you go somewhere where you get the education that you need, get that degree, and get to play the game you love. And if you do that, I'm going to be just as excited if you go somewhere else, whether you come here. Because bottom line for me, it's about the development and the growth of these young men in this profession. Our number one job is, we're going to be judged by winning ball games. I know that. But my ultimate goal is every young man that I coach, and it's been this way for as long as I've been coaching. I want to develop them to be the best husbands, if that's what they choose to be, best fathers, what they choose to be, and just great leaders and positive people when they become adults. And the things by doing that off the field, we'll get that to translate on the field because it correlates. And football field stuff is easy because that's what they love to do. But when you get them to focus in the classroom and in the community on doing those things, that translates easily on the football fields, and that results in wins. So those are the things we focus on, and that's what's going to help us be a successful football program on the field as well.
So now, Coach, outside of putting together a coaching staff and finding players, what else goes into building a first-year college football program? And give me that one thing that the average fan doesn't know that goes into building a program from the ground up.
Oh man, it's the logistical stuff. Going into a program as a coach, you don't necessarily think about the fact that, when it comes to equipment, you just, hey, go to the equipment room, they got this stuff, and it's there, and they go about it. Well, we literally have to order all those things, and it's equipment, it's the travel, it's the the training room. So you're involved in so many different things that you kind of take for granted when you've been in programs that have been established. And especially, for me being at the NFL level and the Power 5 and, all levels of college before I got to the D2 level, a lot of those things you take for granted because they're just there. And so going through the process and sitting here and, that's why I'm so glad I have the guys I have on staff because they're dropping lines to me like, hey, Coach, did you think about this? I'm like, nope, I didn't. Thank you. And I'd get on the phone, call up our guy, hey, I forgot to order this, or we got to do this. So it's the logistical piece of the little bit of things like mainly equipment, every little piece of equipment that you take advantage, that you take for granted, that you have to order. Because, again, no football in 41 years. So not only helmets and shoulder pads and things like that, but socks, girdles, mouthpieces, the first down marker for practice, whistles. You name it, and getting the sizes for guys, when they're not even here on campus yet. So you had to estimate, and I reached back to guys at different places that I know, said, hey man, I need you to help me out with this because I have no idea what I'm doing when I'm trying to outfit these guys, So it's been, like I said, it's been challenging in that realm, but it's been a lot of fun doing it too, and it makes the journey that much more exciting. And on the back end, a year from now, we're going to be sitting back and laughing. Like, remember this time last year when we were trying to order shoulder pads, or we were trying to order girdles and thigh pads and things like that. And then 10, 15 years from now, it'll be the things like that we'll be able to look back on and say, hey, that was pretty cool. And that's why these coaches are here. And that's why these players are here, because those experiences that we'll be able to talk about that most won't.
Well, for your sake, I hope that on game day, you don't realize that, oops, I forgot to order ABC, whatever it is, because we all know it's going to be something that you are going to need, and we'll not realize it until you're at that game. That
don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. I think we got it all covered by now. Please don't do
that. But Coach, you and I both know the greatest thing that we do as coaches is improvise and change the game plan on the fly. That's what makes most coaches successful. So I'm not worried about that. And if the local academy or Walmart don't have it, you didn't need it anyway.
and that's what it was with our guys on our staff, man. They've been, they keep me in line with that. They keep me on my toes and say, hey, Coach, we got to think about this and think about that. My OC, Jermaine Gales, who I've known for over a decade, he was the first guy I brought in, and we've gone through so much, and he's a guy he's that right, literally my right hand man. He was like, hey, Coach, hey, just something to think about. And sure enough, he keeps me in line and gets me right. And it goes throughout the staff that way. My recruiting coordinator, he's done a lot of great things with planning, getting stuff set for our travel. And I mentioned about, we got to get these hotels for this and get this thing set. And next thing you know, he come back next day or a couple hours, hey, Coach, I called here and here and here. I got some quotes coming for this. And, so I got guys that when things come up, they don't just sit and wait for me to tell them to do it. They'll get on it and do it. And that lets me know, and I brought on the right guys. and to a man on my staff. They've all brought so much to what we got going on. And again, I'd be lost without any of them.
Great. And we're talking with Coach Tony Coaxum, head coach, Bluefield State College. Go Big Blue, as they say there in West Virginia. Now, Coach, you're at the Division II level. You've been at G5 school, you've been at P5 school, and you've been in the league at the NFL level. We're gonna stay at college right now. What do you see as the biggest difference between the Division II level that you're at right now and the G5 schools that you have?
And my thing is, I was told a lot of ways, well, when you do this, you can't, D2 doesn't travel this way, or D2 doesn't, may not be able to stay overnight and do those things. And I'm like, look, I'm going to give our guys the best thing we can possibly get. Are they going to be able to do everything that we did at Kansas? No, we don't have all the resources, but we can get as close as we possibly can if we just try to break out of the realm of, well, this is what D2 football does. Because guess what? Our players are just as, the things that make the athletes at the NFL and the Power 5 level great, the training staff, the meals, all the medical stuff, it's the same thing to make our guys great. You know what I mean? They may have more guys that can have a higher ceiling, but those same things can bring them out. So why not provide it for our guys when we can? I try to bring that same type of thing to our guys. And I push the envelope until they just tell me, no, we can't do it. And if you push the envelope enough, you will get where you end up. NFL is here or Power 5 is here. I'm asking for here, but we may get here. I'll take that. That's the most we can get instead of asking for here and ending up down here. So it's the resources, and obviously, scholarships, which, the scholarship structure is different, but we're great in that department, and I learned how to operate that. And actually, my NFL time helped me deal with that a little bit, because scholarship just level is kind of like a salary cap. You got to learn how to piece it together and move things around in order to make it work. So that hasn't been an issue, but I'll say resources, just being able to have, at those higher levels, it's almost, unlimited money. When you need something, it shows up. We have to be a little bit more creative at this level and work around it and get it done. But again, my goal is to make our guys, give them the most first class, experience as possible. And not say, oh, we're only a D2 school, we only do that. No, our guys deserve the best. And whatever that best is for us, that's what we're going to give them.
All right, Coach. Couple of hotbed issues throughout going on throughout college football. I wanted to get your opinion on. Mm-hmm. First one, and this was the 2019-2020 issue, it seemed like, the transfer portal. Over 1,000 kids out there that don't have a home right now because they've entered the portal for one reason or another. Mm-hmm. Number one, did you utilize the portal to help you build your program there at that school? And then just your thoughts in general on the portal.
We did. Absolutely, we did. We have a lot of kids, good handful of kids that were at transferring from, we got a couple from FCS schools that transferred down, or kids that were JUCOs or community college that transferred. So we did utilize it. My thoughts on it, there's definitely benefits to it. I just think a lot of the times is that, we've kind of gotten to the place to where it makes it a little too easy at times to just move on. I believe that there has to be some level of adversity for not just young men and athletes, but people in general, young people in general. Life is going to throw adversity to you. And sometimes you can't, when you're an adult, you can't jump in the transfer portal and change your circumstances. So you got to learn to fight through it. But for the most part, I think it just allows an avenue for people to, hey, guys may and gals and just athletes in general will choose certain places for some of the wrong reasons. And not really think it out or whatever. And it gives them that ability to kind of, get to a situation that's best for them. And I think that's the benefit of it. But yes, we utilized it. And part of the reason the transfer portal, as it is the roster we have in this regard, that it got so loaded due to COVID, where everybody getting an extra year and kids getting into it, that it just pushed a lot of things down. Those kids that would have gotten the fringe Power 5 or the Group of 5 offers out of high school, colleges, coaches would just go to the portal and get a kid that they know that they've seen play, that they know can play at the college level, and brought that kid in and have him for 2 or 3 years, then get a high school kid that they may not have seen since junior year because of COVID and not playing into the spring. And it's just less risk. So those kids were on the fringe of those D1 offers, Group of 5 and Power 5, they get pushed down to, FCS. And those kids that would have got FCS offers, that naturally pushes them down to D2. So we have some kids on our roster that in a normal year would have been FCS players. So we were rewarded in that way. And I got a feeling for another year, we're going to see the same thing, because it's going to take a little while for the portal to kind of thin out. So it's benefited us on both ways, where we've got a couple kids from the transfer portal to come and play for us. And just the whole essence of how stacked the transfer portal is right now. There's a lot of high school kids in there that were kind of left without homes that should be playing in Group of 5 and maybe fringe Power 5 that we got here, because that we presented the best opportunity for them to play and showcase their skills.
Now the portal were the big issues in 2019 and 2020. Mm-hmm. 2021 is all about name, image, and likeness, NIL. So how does that play into your building of your program at Bluefield State?
We're aware of it. And our thing is we just want to get educated on it. Our compliance staff is doing deep research to make sure we have all the ins and outs on it. And our number one thing is to educate our student athletes on what it truly means. Because again, there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of information or a lot of perceptions of it that applies greatly to, say, the D1 schools and the group of the Power 5 schools. And it's not the same for our school on our level. It's just not going to be, so our biggest thing is just try to educate our student athletes to make sure that they don't do anything to jeopardize the eligibility, because it can still be jeopardized if you use a school's image, if you use school's name and things like that without their permission, and you can still get your eligibility lost. And the rules are just kind of per school right now. It's not a one uniform rule, and that's not being necessarily told to these young student athletes. So that's what we're trying to do to protect them, to make sure they understand the rules that apply for, in our case, for Bluefield State. And, those opportunities pop up for these from talking football, particularly for them to capitalize on that. Great. You know what I mean? But my number one thing is to make sure that it's done the right way so that they don't jeopardize their eligibility, because we all know anytime stuff like this happens, there's always going to be snakes in the grass that's going to come out and try to take advantage of these young people. And that's always my number one goal, is to protect the young people and protect our players. And just want to make sure that they're covered, they know what's going on, and so they make the best decision for them. And if all those bases are covered and they're able to capitalize on their own name and do it the right way, I really don't have an issue with it.
Do you think we need a blanket policy from the NCAA, or do we need to keep it at the school and state level like it currently is right now?
It's two levels to that. They need to, I think it needs to be some level of uniformity, because again, if it's just at school and state, then that's when the whole different outways of the recruiting advantages pop up. You know what I mean? Simply because this school is letting you use their name and the school's not, it changes things. But it needs to be some level of uniformity, just so everyone can figure things out and how to do it the right way. Because again, the bottom line should be what's best for the student athlete. And what's not being told, everyone's not going to capitalize the same way off of this. And I think that's what a lot of the misperception is that this is going to benefit everybody. And it's not. It's going to benefit a handful of people a lot more than others. And some, it's not going to change anything for them. And that needs to, again, this needs to be understood that that's what it is. So, but, we'll see what comes up. This thing is constantly changing. And, we'll just roll with the punches and figure it out as we go.
All right, now let's get into some actual Big Blue football because we kind of talked about everything else but Big Blue football. Inaugural season starting off this year. When Big Blue gets on the field, what type of product will we see? What will we see on offense? What will we see on defense, special teams, etc.? Just kind of break down what the fans of the Big Blue are going to see this fall.
Yeah, we want an exciting brand of football across the board. Our mentality is going to be always attacking. We want to put a lot of pressure on our opponents in all phases. Offensively, we're going to play a very up-tempo game, play it fast. It's going to be a simple for us, for our guys to master it and know what we're doing, but it's going to be at a high pace, at a high tempo. Coach Gales has been running this offense for a long time. He's put up a lot of great numbers over the years doing it at the higher levels of in FCS in HBCU football. And again, this is his baby. This is his off. He knows it like the back of his hand, and it's going to be a high tempo type of situation. Defensively, we're going to be attacking, aggressive, high energy, just flying around. That's just how you have to play defensive football, especially with these offenses. You got to be ready to get downhill, and a fast group of guys. We feel we recruited and brought on some young men that can really run, and we have a versatile group of young men that can play multiple positions, and that's going to be a big plus for us because of all the spread offense and how quickly teams play. And in special teams wise, it's going to be an aggressive unit. A lot of special teams around the country, they just, it's more of a check the block thing. They just want to make sure that they don't do anything that get themselves beat, get penalties, and just kind of survive the play. That's not the way we're going to operate. We're going to play an attacking style. We're looking for opportunities to score, to get the ball back to our offense, and make plays in the kicking game that's going to impact victory. But again, through a whole 60 minutes, once our opponents get into the stadium, once those doors lock behind us, we want them to constantly feel us breathing down their neck, constantly feel that pressure. And that's the way we're training to get to that point. And so to constantly let them know, hey, you're in this thing for a long battle. Now, we're going to prepare for a 60-minute fight. And we expect our opponents to have the respect for us to do the same thing. And that's, to me, that's what I call respecting the game. You prepare with in mind that they're preparing to kick your butt. And so you have to give your all effort to do that. And if for some reason our opponents don't do that, then they're going to have something to deal with. Because our job is to prepare and make sure that, we're preparing for a 60-minute battle and give them everything we got, and we'll let the chips fall. And as long as we do that, I'm always going to be cool with the outcome. I'm more about the process of getting there and the effort that we put in, because those are things we can control. We can't always control how that ball bounces. We can't always control how the breaks we get, but we can control how fast we play, how much effort we play with, and the excitement we play with. And that's kind of the standard we're going to set for ourselves.
Now, speaking of those opponents, you have an 8-game schedule, which I think is pretty good for a first-year program, especially at independent. It's not like you're going into a conference or anything where you've already got, 7 to 8 games already there. You just got to go out and get 2. You had to go out and grind for all these games on your schedule. Season opens up Lawrence Tech, Elizabeth City, Johnson C. Smith. Those are the first 3 weekends in September. Off the last weekend in September, that'll be a bye week. Come back in October, UNC Greensboro, University of Fort Lauderdale, Erskine, and you'll be off on the 23rd. Looks like the third Saturday is just y'all Saturday to take off, it seems like, just looking at the schedule.
Yeah, kind of way I set it up, again, not knowing we were going to have a smaller roster this first year. Yeah, a lot of young guys. I didn't want it to have, playing 6, 7, 8 weeks in a row. Gotcha. I wanted to set it up where we get a few games in, have a bye week to kind of reassess, let our guys heal a little bit, because again, we're going to be young and in smaller numbers, and then do it again for 3 more weeks. And so I think it played out perfectly to give us just enough rest in between. And but we also get some good quality opponents and good quality games and get filming to watch everybody play. Because my goal is every single person, every one of our players that is healthy, I want them to play them every week. Regardless of the score, because again, you'll never get an opportunity to get live reps of your players against someone else. So we want to, if a guy's healthy, we want to play him every week. I don't care if we're up by 30 points. And but if we don't get everybody in that game who's suited and ready to play, to me, that's going to be an L, because we let opportunities slip to let some guys get on the field and see how they do with some real competition.
There you go. There you go. Finishing off your schedule after your second bye, you go to Barton and finish up at home against St. Anselm. So, Coach, when I say we, people who look like you and me get our college's football schedule, we look for two things. First thing is when is homecoming, when are the classics. You're not in the classic mode yet, but you do have a couple of HBCUs on your schedule, and you'll be traveling to both of those. So before we talk about the HBCUs, when can we go ahead and know what homecoming is so we can go ahead and make our hotel reservations? Because you know how we are. We got to go ahead and get that hotel reservation first.
Yes, sir. So our homecoming is October 9th versus Fort Lauderdale. And the cool thing about that is, this wasn't planned. I didn't even realize this until about 2 or 3 weeks after the schedule was done, is that I was hired. My press conference was on October 9th, 2020. And we're having a homecoming.
Happy anniversary, Coach.
Yeah, October
Hopefully
9th.
It comes with a win.
2021. And just the symmetry of it is really cool. So the first homecoming in 41 years is a year to the day after I was hired. So things like that has been really cool going through this whole process. But our homecomings on that day, Fort Lauderdale is coming in. They're a brand new program. They think they started about a year ago, and they played this past spring. So they're coming up to play us for homecoming this fall.
All right, now let's talk about the two HBCUs on your schedule. Elizabeth City, Johnson C. Smith, both out of the CIAA. Talk about they obviously these guys help you out by agreeing to schedule games with you. So just kind of talk about the relationship and the importance of having fellow HBCUs on your schedule, especially considering you're not only an HBCU independent, you're a Division II independent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was really going through the schedule again, and my staff did a great job of just reaching out to different connections and calling people on staffs that they knew, and I got these two done pretty quickly. Both were very interested in playing us and getting it set, and really enjoyed. I really like the fact that we get to go there because one, it allows our faculty, our administration to see what an HBCU game day experience like and on the road. So that'll be good. And then, particularly Johnson C. Smith Charlotte's only a couple of hours away from us, about 2.5 hours. And we're playing that a night game. So I know that's going to be a lot of fun in Charlotte at night, and just to get to see those environments. So both of those coaches did a great job of working with us and making it happen. We actually have a home and home with Johnson C. Smith. They're coming to us to open the season next year in 23. So that was really great, and we're excited to play all these guys.
All right, Coach. We're gonna get ready to get you out of here with this. We've been sitting here going back and forth. I've asked you plenty of questions, but I know it's something that I've left out that you feel that you need to get off your chest. So go ahead. Anything that I did not ask that you want to get out to the Big Blue fans out there?
Well, again, thanks for having me. I really appreciate being on here. You're taking the time to bring little old Big Blue out here and get us a little bit of name pub. But we're excited about the season we're about to have, and just kind of want to share with some people some ways they can follow our program. Follow us as a team. Our main page is at go-bstate.com. That's our athletic website. My Twitter account is at Coach Coax, COAX17. That's my personal Twitter account. Then we have our B State Sports Twitter account, and that's for our whole athletic department. Because again, we have a total of 22 sports now, so we're growing very fast. Our football page is a Big Blue _FB. That's for our football Twitter. So those are just some of the places that you can track not only our football program, but all the Bluefield State athletics. And it's exciting times going on here, and this thing's growing fast, and we're having a lot of fun doing it, and we can't wait to get going in the fall.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you joining us here today on the BCSN Sports Wrap. And once again, Coach, if they have a donation or a check or want to become a booster, how do they do that? Because that's the most important thing, because we can't continue these programs on without money, point blank. Cash App, Google Pay, Apple Pay, PayPal, old-fashioned check, whatever it is. Just not the $100 handshakes.
Oh, no doubt. So, I mean, we have on our main page, we have a gift link. So if you go to our football page, in our football account page, there's a link on there for if you want to give any types of donations to our programs. And it's a simple, once you click on the link, the simple drop downs to go to the athletic department. You can make a one-time gift, you can make a reoccurring gift. You go to BSC Athletics, and then from there you can pick a particular sport, or if you just want to give the program as a whole. So it's a very simple process on our football page and our main school page, where if anyone is interested in donating.
Once again, Coach, we thank you for joining us here today. And for Coach Tony Coaxum, this is AD Drew, BCSN Sports Wrap. We'll be right back after this message.
But my beat stay hard.